Hey there, I hope you're enjoying your summer. I have a hot summer deal for you. I am offering a bonus 4th session with any of our 3 session packages over on spiritcenteredbusiness.com. That includes live busting and activations and business coaching. So if you'd like to take advantage, break off those limits, move you forward in your destiny, and you'd like my help, go over to spiritcenteredbusiness.com and grab any of the 3 session packages today. I will automatically bonus you the 4th. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Well, hello there. Welcome to Spirit-Centered Business. Look who I have in the house. It's Bryant. I finally have him back 4.5 years plus after he was my very first guest.
First guest? Oh my goodness.
You were absolutely, yep. I did show number 1 myself just to say, hey guys, I think I'm launching a show. And then show number 2 was you. So welcome back. Yeah, and I just have one little bit of housekeeping before we get into a conversation, is over on spiritcenteredbusiness.com. If you have not taken that Spirit-Centered Business assessment, you can go ahead and take that. It's free. And you can just see where you are in the trajectory of how your business is established in heaven, how you're operating from the heavenly realms with Father as your CEO. All right, that's over on spiritcenteredbusiness.com. All right, Jerry, I missed you.
I can tell. You've reached out to me more than once, and I've just kind of been busy, and I do love you. And I want to say this out front, too. I'm going to do my best to get behind this program and promote it. Some people may not know, but I've been a part of soundsofglorynashville.com. Sounds of Glory Nashville. And over the years, I brought in a lot of conferences, helping be a part of bringing in the late Christopher Carter on occasion. I've had, of course, conferences in Nashville with just quite a few of the folks that you and I both know, and probably will do another one or two. We need to promote this particular program on Sounds of Glory Nashville's newsletter.
Oh, that would be amazing.
And yes, we're going to do that because this is an awesome program. And I think everyone listening right now, please take my encouragement. Tell your friends how to tune in and listen to some of these very, very important programs. Some of the guests you've had have been just really amazing. You're doing a good thing.
Thank you so much. And we have a mutual friend, Timothy Benz, who I was just sharing with you. I hung out with him all June because we were doing conferences and retreats together and speaking in various places around the country and traveling. And that was a lot of fun. And I really respect and admire him. And I learned a lot too.
Well, you will, because Timothy is a very incredibly deep individual. He's got so many stories. He's very involved in what's going on right now around the world. Glad you are connected.
Yeah, and we played off of each other really, really well. It just felt like God was doing this snowball. We started in a retreat in Orlando, and the Lord was showing us. It was the face-to-face retreat, how to come face-to-face with the Lord, and so Timothy would speak on a subject, and then I would do an activation so that people could actually implement what he talked about. And then I would bring something, and then he would tell stories about that. And it was just really good. And we moved to Jacksonville, and then we met in Oklahoma City and met a dear friend over there, and then Colorado. So I think the Lord was really doing something, but it's not about him. It's not about me. It's about you, Jerry.
Oh, yes, of course. Like I told you before we started, I think I'm a legend in my own mind.
No, you're a legend in a lot of our minds.
I've been blessed that so many people have given me favor and invited me on their programs, and I've been able to produce some programs for people when they were out of sync and they just needed someone to fill in. I've done that.
Oh,
And
that's
I
awesome.
really have enjoyed this. I never knew, Bralynn, I would ever get this deeply involved. For those who have never met me, I'm the pastoral director or coordinator for our city's ministerial alliance. I'm talking about the Nashville Ministerial Alliance. We call it the Worship City Alliance.
Mm.
I don't know if any of them know what I do on the side. This is my this is the hiddenness part. I don't find a lot of people in ministry in Nashville that are fully engaging in some of the things we'll be talking about, and it's fine. I'm serving the city. I'm serving alongside them,
Mhm.
but I don't know that they would understand some of the things or feel like they want to be a part of some of the things that we've embraced in these last 4 years. But
Yeah.
here I am trying to, make an influence in the prayer movement in the city, and I'm available to do weddings. I do those from time to time, and I teach and share, and then I travel in missionary work. I stay very busy. I mean, I'm not worried about something to do.
Yeah, right. In fact, you just got back from Wales, right?
I was in Wales. I got to climb a castle, uh, the Caerphilly Castle, the largest castle, I think, in Europe, actually, and it's
Oh,
well
wow.
preserved from
Mhm.
1263. What a day. It was a beautiful day. We went up and down all of the castle and took pictures. And then I wasn't expecting this. I went back to where the Welsh revival began in 1904 and went to the original chapel that not Reese House, but Evan Roberts preached in. It was a great revival all through Wales. Out of that became a prayer movement. Reese House
Mhm.
actually had a place, Swansea, or they call it the Bible College of Wales now, where they had intercession going on continually. And I'll just end with this to say that the World War II that was going on during that time, they believe in, and they have documentation that the prayers turned the course of that war
Oh
from
my God.
these prayer rooms. So I went to visit that. Oh my goodness. I mean, I was awakened at what people have done to entertain the fullness of his presence and how it's shaped history. And we're shaping history today, Bralynn.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Shaping history with the fullness of his presence. Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
isn't that what we're all here to do?
Amen. That's
Wow.
what that's what I was born for.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh. So I know that you're working with those pastors and those worship leaders. So that difficult to not be able to speak the language of stepping into the heavenly realms or turning our focus in or whatever language you use? Is that hard to just not say, come on, guys, let's do it from heaven?
Well, that's a really good question. I think that the answer has to be that if you do everything in love, you just take people where they are. I don't feel judgment toward them. I don't feel resistance. I just love them. I'm available. They know that. They know that I have a shepherd's heart. As a
Mhm.
matter of fact, one of my ministries, I have so many hats. One of the ministries that really supports just paying the bills is the ministry called Underground Shepherd.
Mm.
And I have an inactive website with that, but I do have a Facebook page, Underground Shepherd. I post a lot of things about things I'm personally doing with my life. And I
Mhm.
want to be off the radar, underground, so to speak. And I don't need to go back on the stage again after 50 years of ministry and pastoring.
Yeah.
Back to your question, I try to work in some of my stories. I'm not afraid to say I had a heavenly encounter. I'm
Oh,
not
good.
afraid to, no, and quite a few of the intercessors and prophetic people that come, like Dr. James Gall. He's had a lot of encounters. I work with him, and he is a businessman extraordinaire. I have never seen a man with more business things happening with his video and audio cast
Wow.
and his books and his conferences and his mentoring. This man, if you want to watch an example of somebody very, very successful in Christian business and ministry, it's Dr. James Gall, one of my closest friends.
Oh my gosh, you need to get him on my show.
You know, if you could find time to get him on, he will be enough. You'll need him on for 2 or 3 shows.
We can do that.
It's going to be like Niagara
I
Falls.
will roll out the red carpet.
His ministry, you can look it up on Google. It's Encounters.
Mhm. Okay.
And honestly, the Lord has so gifted him in these areas to juggle all of this. He's got his own studio at his house. When he came and we first met, I invited him to speak at the Vineyard Christian Fellowship that I was pastoring in Nashville, Tennessee. First one that I had brought in from Kansas City. He had never written a book. I think he has 50 now.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
You can hardly look around and not see his influence and the influence of Derek Prince that influenced him, and Bob Jones was in his life a lot. And he moved from Kansas City here after being with Mike Bickle. He's just an extraordinary individual that you could learn a lot if you wanted to see some of his, business principles and how he advertises. And so he's very successful in that and generous. I don't know anybody who's given away more books. Underwrites my ministry. He's just so generous. I think that is a key, my friends that are listening. I believe that the more we can choose generosity, believing that God has given us these gifts and these finances to bless others, help others get started like Dr. Gall does. This is a key to success. Just don't be self-focused and thinking, well, I got to make things, sure, you have to pay the bills, but go slow and stay low.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, you've got to go slow on some things where we get anxious. I want to do this. I want to do that. He's shown me to do this. He's shown me to do that. Yes, he has, but in his timing, and he's working on your heart always and I've got to say to you right now that one of the things that has been such a blessing in my life is learning how to cleanse my soul gates of all negativity and judgment and criticism and opinions and all of those things against others. It says in the word, cast down all imaginations. And most of this is imagination, unless you've heard it from the horse's mouth. Cast down all imaginations, reasonings, speculations, opinions, all of these things that lead to gossip and attitudes. I try every morning to get up and say, I'm going to cleanse my soul gate right now. Is there anybody I have an opinion toward because they didn't answer my phone call? They didn't call me back. They didn't invite me to do this or that. Is there anyone that I could possibly have any offense? I'm cleansing that right now. I want to stay clean. I want to stay pure. Now, folks, that is a key to business in any dimension. And this is hard because it's so competitive. And we get put down and get a lot of rejection, a lot of no. And it's hard to say, wait a minute, I'm trusting Jesus in this fully. He's the one that's going to show me how to navigate through this little tough place or thin place, as they used to say, in the Celtic history, we can say they talked about it as a thin place. The thin place is a good place. It's a happy place when you know God's in charge. I am so sweetly surrendered right now to his plan for my life. I don't entertain. I can't think of the last time I had an anxious thought. Wow. I just won't do it. I just won't do it. And when I came back from Wales, I said, I'm not going to do jet lag either. And I didn't.
Oh, that's awesome. They're really, really good.
Get me started here, Bralynn.
No, go ahead. Keep going, Jerry. You can do it.
Well, when we come right down to it, is a lot of our business efforts do revolve around how we think, right in between these two ears. Exactly. Our heart attitudes. God is not worried about you becoming successful in what you're putting your hand to. But he is concerned that you do it for his glory. He is concerned that your heart's clean. And this is our hardest we get so frustrated in waiting. We get so put out if somebody, doesn't like what we're doing. Well, do it for an audience of one and see what happens. Be generous. Go low and slow. And when his timing comes, like it did for Dr. Gall, oh my gosh, the books just came out like Niagara Falls. And all these opportunities, to be on this TV show and that, and people asking him, hey, I'm really needing to be mentored or taught. He just doesn't have enough time to do it. It's just so big right now. And he's a very small ministry in Nashville, Tennessee, but he's visible. And, isn't that what we want? I don't care if I make a couple $1 million today, but I'd like to be visible, because that means that I'm going to influence someone for the good. I know my life is going to influence someone for the good. Now, the couple $1 million, I wouldn't know what really to do with it, except I'd probably travel and go influence people elsewhere or help other people get started.
Right.
It's something they have a love for, to follow your passion after.
Right.
So I'm grateful for this show, because it gives me a platform to say these things to people that need encouragement today.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That, and the influence is actually part of my mandate, Jerry. I saw when I was reading, I think it's somewhere in Luke, and you probably know this better than me, but where the Lord says, if you're not gathering the spoils, you're against me. And I saw my hand going and gathering influence that the enemy had stolen and lost, or that got abandoned in people's lives. And I am a restorer of influence. So, like, wow, and not only do I release voices that have been held captive by fear and doubt, but I also restore lost, abandoned, traded away, or deteriorated influence. And so that is why I love to have people on the show like you, who can speak to people about that influence and about how important it is to get our message out to the world, and how important it is to live by our passion, because he designed us for that purpose, right? We are a facet of the Lord, and we're each individually unique to what he is calling us to do. And so I love that you said that, because it is so important. Yeah, the money is more like just a measuring stick. Like it's the evidence of how much good you're doing in the world, how much influence you have as far as leading people, awakening people, telling people who they are in the Lord, showing them who the Lord is, whatever you're called to do. So I love that you said that.
Well, and sometimes we're embarrassed by people who are not believers, and they're not obviously working in Christian ministries, but some of these very well-known inventors and people like a Bill Gates type giving away so much money. A lot of these groups are giving away a lot of money to social causes, things that maybe I even wouldn't support, but they realize you can only I had a millionaire friend one time that says you can only drive one Cadillac at a time.
Right.
He said you can only eat one steak at a time. I don't think the folks listening to your show are out there being, out of balance, but I just want to say to you, be generous beyond expectations, and, see if you can outgive God. Yeah. See if opportunities. I've got a quick story. I've got to tell you how, when you have the right heart attitude, God works things out. Now, I live by faith. I don't solicit money, but I have underwriters of the Underground Shepherd. And many years ago, in my hometown, my neighbor and I had a good relationship, but I'd never been asked for anything by him until one day he knocked on the door and he said, I can't pay the mortgage this month. And he's crying, he's upset, a fear that he might lose his house. And I said, well, I can give you, now the word give is important, I can give you your mortgage payment. He said, no, I'll pay it back within a week. I've got money coming in. I said, well, I'm going to give it to you, and it's not going to be looked at as a loan, but yes, I'd love to have you give it back, but it's up to you and God. Because I really think that unburdens my heart if I've given it away. And if he gives it back, which he wanted to and said he would, I have it for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Never got it back. A couple of 3 years went by, he passed on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said, well, it wasn't mine anyway. But it was a chunk of money. One day I get a call. This is like maybe 5 years ago. This has been a long time. His son calls me. His son's a well-to-do lawyer. And he said, by the way, did my father ever borrow anything from you? I said, well, yeah, I guess he did. But I mean, it was really not a loan. He said, well, I found out that some of his other friends felt like he took advantage of them. And I said, it's nothing. But when I hung up at the end of that call, you know what I expected? He's going to pay his father's debt. After all these years, he's going to take his father's debt on as an honor and pay me back. And it never happened.
Huh.
A year went by and I thought, let's see how my carnal mind works. Here I am thinking that I'm going to get that money back. But one day, all of a sudden, I noticed that there was a sizable gift that came in for the ministry, is because ours is tax exempt, from this son. And now, 3 years later, it's not stopped. Month after month. Have I been paid back? Many times over. Many times over. But you see, here's the key. You let go because it doesn't belong to you. If you say with your lips, I forgive this debt, it's not a debt because you gave it away. And look what God has done. I have been so blessed and underwritten by his gift. And he never said what it was about. But it wasn't a repayment because I wouldn't let him do that. This is just a testimony of how we really, really, really can trust the Father to take care of us.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wow. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing, is just being able to trust, because I struggle just because I'm a smart cookie. I just want to go run and do something for well, I can figure this out. I got this, God. I got this. Right? Like, no, we have to trust, don't we?
We always have to trust. We do.
Yeah, and not just do things for God, but do it the way that he wants us to do it. Because sometimes it's in the way that he wants us to do it that we get the learning, or we get the lesson, or we get the added favor, or whatever the added benefit is that the Lord is trying to get to us, is in following how he wants to do something, not just what he wants to do.
I know. I'm just saying that these should be, honestly, Christianity 101 lessons, but it takes the rest of our lives to actually remember, oh, that's what he meant. You know, he had some hard sayings and he lost a few followers over them. You remember?
Yeah.
But those hard sayings were key elements to living the abundant life. And I never knew what the abundant life was, even after all these years of pastoring, ministering, and doing things. I've had a radio program for 50 years, which we'll talk about sometime, but I never felt like I had abundant life until I understood what God was all about, because I had some encounters with him in a heavenly place. Like I had never experienced this joy, this freedom until my first time of being with him right there at the throne room. And it's never stopped. And it's wonderful because you don't have to die to go there, you know, and he's got so much wisdom to impart, and peace and rest. It's real. If you haven't tried it, if our listeners, if you're listening and you haven't tried it, oh my, you need to be open, because he says, come up higher and I'll show you things you don't yet know.
Right. And we are seated in heavenly places, and you are a citizen of heaven. So
right
Yeah.
now.
Yep, right now. It's not you will be, and yeah, exactly. But I want to come back to 50 years having a radio show. Oh my gosh, Jerry. Tell us about that. I mean, surely you've had some lessons along the way there.
Well,
Give me a high five, because that is really us. And yeah.
I learned rejection at the beginning of the radio show because, first of all, back in 50 years ago, there was not any contemporary Christian music of my genre, with a guitar or set of drums. It was mostly choirs, quartets, and not that I didn't like that. I mean, I was raised in that environment, but I went to a little country rock station near my home and got them to let the Jesus freak in town do a little radio show on their station. And it wasn't long, mind you, until I got pushback. The owners came to me and said, well, we like your show and what you're trying to do and help people. But you've got a problem that we've got to address. I said, oh, what did I do? Well, you keep saying that Jesus is the only way. And as you know, we run Timothy Leary and Baba Rundush and all these other gurus and teachers. And you can't say that Jesus is the only way. I said, I didn't say it. I said, he said he's the only way. Well, it wasn't long before my first rejection. They kicked me off the station because they didn't want to hear a message that Jesus preached, that he was the only way to the Father. Well, when you have the right attitude, and I had to learn that really early. I go to a local rock station that's about 100,000 watts, one of the biggest in the area. They said, yeah, we'll let you have Sunday nights. We don't have nothing on Sunday night. So I started out, and they gave me from 9 o'clock at night till 2 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And paid me because I was running the transmitter. And out of that show, every night, so many people found Jesus. I baptized them. I got to know them. We started a little Christian coffee house and all of that. I had a little Jesus commune with guys living in this house and girls over here at another house. And I mean, we were part of the Jesus Revolution that you see in that movie called Jesus Revolution.
Yeah.
It was in 1972, 50 years ago. And so anyway, that program, I didn't think of it at the time as being something that would be commercial or viable, but people wanted to buy time on the show. They wanted to put it on stations, so I all of a sudden get involved in business that way. And I ended up with that one little program being on 100 radio stations coast to coast.
Oh my gosh.
And it changed everything for me, just because that first time, I believe, not taking it personal, but just say, well, I'll just do what God said, but I'll go over here and do it and get paid for it.
And get paid for it.
And Bralynn, I'm still on the radio. I've changed the name of the show, but now I'm on iHeartRadio, quite a few radio stations, but mostly iHeart and iTunes podcasts, and the same that you have on the Droid. I don't know what they call it now. It used to be the PlayStation, but Play something. But anyway, that plus a lot of other internet groups take my show. It's heard internationally. And that show is called Full Circle Jesus Music. 4 words. You think about full circle, I'm going way back to where it all began, full circle. All the original songs of the 70s and 80s, when I worked with Keith Green and Andre Crouch and all the folks at Maranatha and Calvary Chapel, part of that Jesus Revolution movie. Well, I play all those songs every time I do a show, and it's not dated now. You can actually go right now to fullcirclejesusmusic.com and play almost 300 hours worth of music, interviews. My recent interview was with Russ Taff, who used to be with the Imperials.
Wow.
He told his story of how through his own brokenness, he got delivered and set free. Oh, you can't listen to it and not cry. Played all of his early songs. So I've done just a lot of interviews. I just love talking, but I have to slow it down and play music too. So anybody that wants to check it out, it's Full Circle Jesus Music after 50 years.
Yep. We'll
Oh,
definitely have the link in the show notes wherever you're watching or listening. And we are syndicated across the Fringe Radio Network. So we're on Spirit Centered Businesses on all of those channels as well. So we'll have a link directly to Jerry's podcast or his radio show in the show notes. So this has been really good, Jerry. I really want to come back to the Jesus Revolution movement, but I'm going to leave a cliffhanger because I want to do it in part 2. What do you say?
That's all right with me. I'll be with you.
Okay. All right. So you guys, if you enjoyed this conversation and if you just love Jerry, please share this with your friends. We want to get past the algorithm on YouTube and wherever you're watching or listening to the show. I appreciate you sharing with friends and liking, subscribing, friending, hitting the little button so you get notifications when we go live. And we appreciate your support. A big, big shout out to Candace Benton, who is one of our main producing supporters for the production of Spirit Centered Business. We love you. We love Jerry, and we love you, audience. And until next time, stay Spirit Centered. Peace out.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.